Welcome to the Mayor's Update Live. We are here and a special guest, Executive Director of the Inn, Lori Fitzgerald. Lori, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We've got a whole program here where people can actually ask you questions directly, and we have our open forum here. So I know there's a lot of stuff that's been going on social media where people are asking what's happening with the inn, what's happening with the shelter. I've got a list of questions I've had sent in, and then also anybody who's watching, please ask a question in the chat and you can get the straight facts right here directly from Lori. So there's no misinformation about what's happening with this amazing facility that's been finally opened up in St. Thomas.
Yes.
So Mayor Joe, I don't know if you have a couple words before Lori gets into explaining everything.
Well, I was so pleased to now, and it's been about a year in the making, right, Lori? By the time we got the property and started the renovation, started the planning, started the renovations, and of course some supply problems getting some of the stuff we needed caused us to be into 2022 for it to open. But boy, beautiful place, welcoming, and should be a lot of fun. So let's get right to some questions if we can. I see we've got a few guests on, and I'll remind those guests, please let people know you're on Mayor's Update. Please share it with your friends so they also know that the forum is here for you to ask questions about the city of St. Thomas and tonight the inn, so that we can get the message out to as many people as possible. We know often on social media the same question is asked about 400 times, and so we're going to handle 400 people tonight by just answering it once.
Absolutely. And the first question that's everyone asking is like, how many spaces do you have?
Well, at the inn, we've expanded at this new site, and we have slowly expanded over COVID. So prior to COVID, I'll say we were at 30 beds. We'd never reached capacity. Slowly over the last year, we've seen a little bit of change in numbers, but we plan for 40 regular beds at the inn now. In bunk beds, and in two, actually we have kind of 4 different dorm spaces that those beds are divided amongst. And then we do have room for some overflow beds for situations like an extreme weather alert.
Right. Very good. And who can have space?
So anyone who identifies as having no permanent address, who is in need of assistance. And that assistance could be, for example, someone could be sleeping on a friend or relative's couch for the night, but the family may say, or the individual may say, I'll keep you here on my couch for a while, but we need our space in the daytime. You need to be out of our house or our apartment during the day. So anyone who does not have a permanent fixed address can come to the inn either just for our drop-in or, washroom facilities, 3 meals a day, or they can also access for overnight.
Good. And what's the difference? A lot of people are wondering, Mayor Joe and I field a lot of questions, like nobody's doing anything about the issues that people are having in our community who are experiencing homelessness. How is this helping those people in our community? And how has it changed from what it was?
Right. So our big, I guess, benefit thing we're excited about this building is for the last almost 2 years during COVID, we have had 2 different spaces for those that are experiencing homelessness. So we've had In Out of the Cold at Central United that's open in the overnight hours. And then we've had 423 Talbot, the old social services building, for the day space for drop-in. So there was 2 things, but we weren't able to serve meals, just snacks at the drop-in, but people had to travel all over the city for different services. So now the biggest advantage is we are open at one location 24/7. We've taken those other 2. 423 Talbot drop-in is closed as of 6 o'clock tonight permanently, and so is us using the basement of Central United. We're no longer there, and we've amalgamated into 10 Princess Ave. So people don't actually have to leave the building. They can go and sleep. They can come down, get 3 meals, and then they can stay right there and actually meet with a number of different service providers. We have our own case managers, that are helping, but we have lots of partners, and that's what we're really excited about that come in. The advantage of that is when you are exhausted and you've been cold and you maybe don't have appropriate clothing, and maybe you're feeling ill from all that travel around the city in the winter. You can kind of build yourself back up, get healing, get more healthy, and then we're able to help you right where you are instead of having to again go through the elements. So and it just helps people move faster to be able to address the barriers that's keeping them from permanent housing.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things we've heard a lot about is the support that's needed for people. It's not just about giving a person a bed or giving a person a meal. It's giving them the supports they need. So can we talk a little bit about more about what the people are going to get when they go to the inn?
Sure. So that's the thing, is that the support we're able to give now, I guess prior to this, we were really focused on basic needs. We've been trying our best over COVID with having the opportunity of the day site to start working towards this, but it's more comprehensive. So someone can get out of bed in the morning, have a good breakfast, and then meet with their case manager that would say, hey, Jane, why don't we meet after breakfast? I understand you don't have your ID. It was stolen. Let's get an application started. Let's, the inn will pay that fee for you. Let's get your birth certificate replaced so that you can go and get your other ID replaced so that you now have the ability to fill out applications. Often lots of applications for different things, housing included, you need your ID. So that's the very first step. It could be, hey, you've got your feet aren't looking too good. You've been wearing wet boots. Let's get you into the clinic today. The CCHC is going to be on site, and let's get the doctor to take a look at your feet. Let's have a foot bath. How about we have an Epsom salt foot bath available now at the inn for our guests? Let's get you taken care of in a hot shower. Let's get your clothes cleaned and dried so you don't have to go out in the weather with wet boots on again. So those basic needs, but combined with, hey, while that stuff's going on in the background, let's sit down and do these applications. Let's get started. And then let's talk about your other barriers. Maybe you're in need of some mental health support. Let's get Canadian mental health worker to come in this week and meet with you. Let's talk about if you're interested in some addiction support, let's talk to Grace Cafe. They got a new addiction program that's going to be starting. So, it's just going to be really a real rounded out, a wholesome approach, a holistic approach to care.
Laurie, we've talked a lot over the generation of out of the cold now to the inn, whether when it wasn't year round and then it became year round, but then with COVID it became two different places.
Right.
And now we have a great new home for those that are homeless. I was asked in one of the interviews I did was, well, do you think because it's something new and new added services, you'll start to see more people taking advantage of the inn, or at least coming to test drive it?
Yeah, I actually do think, and I view that as a good thing, because we know that there are several individuals in the city that are experiencing homelessness, and not all of those individuals do use shelter for various reasons and past trauma and everything else. There's lots of reasons why people choose to either sleep rough or in the woods, in their car, in different situations. And our hope is that this new facility may draw some of those individuals that could really benefit from the services at the inn, just the curiosity of hearing about it and knowing that there's something different in a 24-hour service, that we will see an increase in guests, but a shorter time span that guests spend with us. So more of a quicker in and out. And that's really our goal for all of our guests. We are emergency shelter. We are not anyone's home. Right. And we kind of play off that the inn, INN, in that we are an inn. But again, when we go to the Holiday Inn, we're not living there. We're staying there because we're passing through or we're at someplace temporarily. That's really what we want for our guests as well. They can stay as long as they need to, but we're going to be working with you to move you on as fast as we can.
Well, and that's one of the things that
go ahead,
Mayor Joe and I have talked a lot. about is the pathway, the inn being a pathway
Yes.
to getting
Yes.
people permanent housing, permanent supports that they need in their lives, kind of identifying those things and letting our community know that this is where you can get the help you need.
That's right. And part of that may even be a bit of advocacy around, okay, maybe someone does have a place to go, but there's some barriers to getting there. It may even be transportation. Elgin County itself is huge geographically, right? So it may be someone is from Elgin St. Thomas, but they really just don't have the ability to get from one place to another where they need to, or maybe they just need a call from their case manager to help them navigate a sticky situation that can be mended, and then they can be on their way. So there's a lot of different approaches. There's a lot of different reasons for homelessness, for sure.
Yeah, I'd like to remind those watching, because there's many of you. You ask your question, please. If you have a question for Laurie or us about the inn and all of the possibilities that are there, please ask us the question. I'll ask one more while we're waiting for more from our guests. But Laurie, if you had a great big crystal ball or a great big wand, what would you be wishing for above and beyond that is already at the inn? What do you need to operate the inn successfully, I guess?
Well, actually, our volunteers is the biggest base to what we do. We before COVID, we had about 130 volunteers that helped run the inn, mostly through our food services program, and that was just with a small breakfast and our hot meal every night. Now we've added another whole 12 hours of service, which includes a lunch as well, but not just for the meals, for manning our dining area drop-in space. So we always need someone behind the counter, a friendly face, serving coffee, serving tea, some fruit. People come in, they just need to sit down and rest and warm up, and just have some friendly, compassionate conversation. And if we have volunteers doing that, then that frees up our case manager staff that can be meeting one-on-one with more specific issues as well. And it really does help stretch all of the resources that we have for the shelter piece by those volunteers contributing. So that's something right now we only have, I think, about 50. We really need to build back up and then add more people. And people can do it individually or in pairs. If there's two friends or a couple, they want to come in and say, hey, I'll do that. I don't want to do it alone, but hey, well, the two of us will come in from 10 till 12 and shift, and we'll serve coffee. That fabulous. That's exactly what we're looking about. We go 24/7 now, 7 days a week. So we need a lot of people.
Well, Laurie, I know that there's a lot of businesses in town that also try and help, whether it's with straight donations or food donations, meal donations, or as you just said, perhaps a couple buddies from work or people who work together or are part of a service club saying, we're going to volunteer together. We want Thursday nights and Friday afternoons and whatever it is. Why don't we? So let's ask people for more of the same. There's so many people in our community that want to help and just don't know how. Right?
Yes, absolutely. And we have lots of great groups that help us out. We have church groups. A church group picks like the third Thursday of the month, and they'll come in, and we need about 5 people to form a full dinner team. We do all the training. We have food handlers, rep person that's in there. We have the menu. We know exactly what is served. We just will instruct the 5 different people at the different stations what to do. It could be, we have people that help out, or groups that help out once a week. We have groups that help out once a month. We have groups that just say, hey, we'd like to do this one time. We can't commit to ongoing. There is a space for everyone, even teens getting their community service hours, teens coming in with parents. We have families that come in and do it as a family. It's a great opportunity for everyone to be involved and be part of the solution.
And Laurie, one of the other solutions that we've talked about for a long time over the last couple of years, as we've moved in out of the cold to the inn and more, is there are people, as you say, on the street who yet don't want to come in. And I've been asking from a community point of view, and you mentioned the CMHA and the MOST team and the other street teams and our own police department and many other community groups. Can we always concentrate on there is a place? There is a place for you. And so we've been really talking in the last year about, can we fill every bed? And if we do, we'll make more. We really truly will. The capacity is there. It's never been full. So let's see who we can talk into becoming an ingoer. And from there, as we are talking about the path towards full-time housing, through our housing department or through Indwell, there's just so many people in this community working in the same direction. We just need to make sure that we're telling all that we can. There's a better place tonight, and it's called the Inn.
Yes, and that's what I've spoken to my colleagues at police services and the CMHA workers and different people. I've said, you know what, if you come across someone, even maybe if they're camping rough, encourage them to come and just check it out. The thing is, come in for a meal. Coming in our doors doesn't mean you're committing to staying there for a month. No. Come in.
You're committing to lasagna.
Right. Well, yeah. Come in, use the restroom, get a hot meal, check it out. Maybe tomorrow night you'll stay 3 hours, and maybe the next day you'll decide maybe I will try a night and leave halfway through the night and come back the next night. All of those things are fine. We just want people to be warm, to be safe, and to start being plugged in.
Right.
Absolutely. And speaking of safety, we've got a question that just came in terms of COVID protocols. And the person's asking, what COVID protocols are used to keep clients and volunteers safe?
Right. So we have all the standard, everybody that comes in the door. We have a reception area, which is new for us, which is wonderful. So literally the first thing you do when you come in, and you're greeted either with our reception staff or a security guard, and they will ask the standard COVID screening questions. Of course, there is sanitizer there. We give masks. We also have N95 masks for our staff and our volunteers if they choose. We have all the PPE, we have gloves, we have gowns, everything that is needed. We work very closely with public health on all of these things. All of our volunteers are wearing, we have shields, the whole thing, everything that's required. They have, of course, there's always one person with food handlers in the kitchen. The kitchen staff are behind glass doors and walls. The kitchen people that are making the meal are not interacting with the guests. Those that do have shields or goggles and masks. All of our staff are double vaccinated or with boosters as well by now. Of course we have the social distancing. We encourage that. We have the things on the floor. That being said, one thing a lot of people don't understand, or they see all the mass of people standing in front of the inn. I left there a few minutes ago and there was a big group of people. Our guests often, they are a family. They literally live together on the streets. They walk together. They sleep in the same room together. There's different friend groups. And so people see them interacting and feel like, oh my gosh, there's no protocols. There is, but again, we have our chairs in the dining room distance. We have medical grade dividers between all the cots or not the cots, the beds now. Right. So, when you're sleeping in your bed, you have a medical grade divider on each side of you. You cannot see anybody else. And we wipe those down. We disinfect all the surfaces. We do that, but people still are family and friends in our group. And so they do come and they share each other's belongings. They share each other's space. So we do what we can, but our guests are adults and we can't keep everybody 6 feet apart.
Absolutely. Another question was coming in from businesses, and they're concerned about negative interactions with maybe some of the people that are accessing this space. And if those occur, does the inn have processes that they follow to mitigate any issues that might happen?
We do. Part of our screening when you come in is not just COVID screening. We go through clearly what we have prohibited items. So People are not allowed to bring weapons or substances into the inn. We with open arms welcome those that are under the influence of substances. Actually, we'd rather you be in with us where you're warm and monitored than be out on the streets if you have used substances. However, we can't have people using inside the shelter. So we do have things in place where people can store their prohibited things. So to keep everybody safe, to keep them safe, to keep others safe. And we have things like for our staff, all the staff have radios, they have phones on their person, they have panic buttons, so that not only if they're concerned about their safety as staff, but it's more of, oh my goodness, one of our guests is in distress and we need help immediately. So all those things are to protect everyone, to keep everybody safe. Knock on wood, for the most part, we don't have issues. I do not feel unsafe when I am at the inn. My staff do not feel unsafe. We have things, we have the guards, but we also have our friendly street police officers, the street beat. They're in and out all the time. They've developed relationships. And we develop relationships with our guests. And we do find that we are able to talk through most issues. People get frustrated. Yes, I would be frustrated too if I was having to live on the street and, dealing with high rents and things like that, right? But we try to be understanding and compassionate. Sometimes we do have to ask someone to leave and take a walk. Sometimes we do have to say, you know what, maybe this is not the best option for you tonight if you can't be here safely. We try to give as much grace as we can, but the reality is sometimes someone's not in a safe frame of mind, and that will impact the safety of the other 39 guests. So sometimes we have to make tough things. We do try to work through that. We try to have all the supports that we can to work through it. Sometimes our friends at the police services need to help us work through that. But we also look at it, you know what, tomorrow's a new day. So let's try again, or let's try again in an hour. Let's take a walk and come back in an hour.
Right. And that kind of falls into the next question, which is, say someone's asked to leave the inn and they're not in a good headspace. And then say somebody leaves one of the bars that's nearby and they've been drinking, and there's a negative interaction between those folks. Have you talked about what might happen in those instances or how to handle that?
Yeah, we have actually. And I have gone to all of our neighbors, and, most people are aware that we're right in the middle of two bars up to between Legends and Back Alley. And I've spoken about these things very honestly with both of those owners. Yeah. And that exact scenario was brought up by one of those, because that is a concern, not necessarily from violence from our guest point, but maybe violence from someone leaving a bar not in a good headspace, right? So we've talked to our friends at police services about that as well, and they have assured us that is a police issue. If there is a fight outside of a bar, whether it be our guests or whether it be you and I walking down the street and someone being provoking, that is a police issue. Call the police and they will be there to assist.
Well, I was going to mention that, Laurie, that I know that you've spent a great deal of time in the last several months talking to other the businesses nearby and in a pretty wide circle around where the inn is. And we've also worked together. Graydon and I both serve on the DDB, but we've worked together through the downtown merchants to tell them kind of what to expect and how they can help.
Yes. People have been very wonderful. There's been a lot of, when we went, Charisse, our manager, and I went around to visit all the businesses on both sides of the street in the whole block radius. And people were wonderfully supportive and actually very glad to hear. People did say, oh, they're wondering what's going to happen. And there's some concerns, but there was just as many people that said they were so happy. We gave our business card and we said, when we're opening, and if you come into work one day and there is someone sitting at your entrance or sleeping in your entrance, you can at least say, hey, how about, we know the inn's open now 24/7. Why aren't you over at the inn? Or, how about you give it a try? And we gave our card. We said, send them over. And maybe if someone's a little bit hesitant, give us a call. We can see if maybe there's some way that we can help out in that process. Sometimes people just are afraid of the unknown. So we're just hoping to stay in constant contact with people.
And that comes through the partners that are also involved. I mean,
Mhm.
the inn is the inn, but the CMHA partners, the St.Thomas housing partners and homelessness partners, the most team, the downtown street teams, even Ginny at Grace Cafe.
Yeah.
I know we all know each other. It's a phone call or a quick message away. Have you seen John lately, or can you help me with this? I've seen the cooperation among community groups is spectacular at the
Yes,
moment. So you're not in it
Mm.
alone, and neither are they. Um, and
exactly.
and as you say, sometimes it may be a mental health crisis day. Well, that's a good thing we have CMHA on our side and often in the premises of the inn, because we can catch some of these things before they become an issue, and maybe make it a very peaceful night for that person instead. That's the plan. And I'm pretty proud from the city of St. Thomas's point of view that we've had the forward thinking to get this far with this, to get as far as we are with Indwell. Is there more to do? Certainly. Certainly. While
Yes.
there's anybody that doesn't have a permanent home, we always have more to do. But
Yeah.
um, we'd love to be able to turn the facility that we just opened as the inn into permanent housing, when there isn't a need for it as a shelter. So and I think we've kind of done it with that in mind, that may very well be what happens next. So, but
Yeah.
and hopefully it's sooner rather than later.
Mhm.
Exactly. And we are a built for zero community. That is
Yes.
our goal, is that we're going to get to really chronic zero homelessness.
Yeah.
That's the goal we're working towards. And it is an incredible community partnerships. We had the most team in today,
Hmm.
and was talking, had a great talk with Officer Linker and Megan from CMHA,
Yeah.
and just encourage them to say, you know what, your office is now in our basement, but don't stay in the basement. Come on up, come
Yeah.
to the dining room, grab a coffee, do relationship with our folks, sit down, talk. And they said they're so looking forward to that,
Yeah.
to creating a positive police presence, and support within our building, is also could be, a great, deterrent as well for
Yeah.
Right.
people that may be, escalating, and maybe just having that relationship built with people in authority will be a positive thing. We're really excited about our partners, and it is an outstanding collaborative community.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of my favorite things about our community is how much we all work together to solve
Absolutely.
issues and support everybody.
And
And the
just an
fact,
example of that, tonight, we just opened at 6:30.
yeah,
Kathy's Catering provided supper tonight because it was moving day and it's a crazy day in there. And Salvation Army's providing their food truck
Yes.
for dinner tomorrow night.
Mm. Yeah.
And we have other groups that are lined up for right through the weekend. And again, so that speaks to those service clubs, to those groups, to businesses, and we do have businesses. Some of them actually prepare meals in a kitchen and bring it in.
Right.
Others just say, you know what, we are going to contribute and we're going to order Swiss Chalet for 40 people tonight and we're going to pay for it. So
Yep.
such an amazing, amazing community. I just can't say enough about St. Thomas.
Well, if I can also, I'd be really amiss if we didn't thank Central United,
mhm,
Absolutely.
for more than a decade of helping this community with a shelter, and grow, helping you and the inn out of the cold and the inn now grow to where we are today. Um, you know, forever we'll remember their contribution to sheltering and to helping people who are on the street. Um, and I tried in everything I was talking about yesterday, say, but don't forget where we've come from. We weren't always here. We were a part-time shelter. Then we were
Right.
at least all year shelter, and now we're a 24-hour day shelter. It is incredible what has been able to be accomplished. And Laurie, we stay around the kind of one set number, and we're hoping that it grows and more people decide to leave the street and take the path through the inn to the next level, whether it's indwell or permanent housing in a different way. St. Thomas can be proud that we're this far ahead of some of the other municipalities around us, and are doing it in a kind and compassionate way. And with you as the leader, I know that will continue.
Thank you. Well, and it is happening. We just got our stats yesterday that in the last 3 months, 22 people have been housed. So, even though it seems like there's a lot of people coming in, there's a lot of people going out too.
Right.
So that's really important. I see that there's a question, how often can folks access services at the inn?
Right.
I'm not sure if that question is referring to how many nights kind of in a row. If that's the question, it's until they no longer need it. So there's not a cap. In the past, some shelters operated that you could stay like 2 weeks or 30 nights, and then you had to leave and take a break and go. That's no longer really the kind of best practice model that most communities are taking, because it doesn't make sense, right? People just need to be connected. That being said, sometimes it may be easy to kind of settle in and go, oh, I'm good now. I'm here at the shelter. But that's part of our actual shelter agreement. When you come in, we are saying to you, to be here, you have to participate. You have to actively be looking for housing. This is emergency shelter. This is not a home. So let's work towards getting you housing. And that's where our new case managers, that conversation, everybody, every day, housing. What are you going to do today to get yourself some housing or to reduce the barriers to getting housing? We have guests that work. The first guest in our door tonight, a gentleman in the shelter, he works. And he just has not been able to find something right yet that he can afford. So he's working, he's looking for housing, and he's eating and sleeping at the inn. So perfect opportunity to try to work through. But he's very thankful. He was so excited about coming into the new space. First guest in. Was there 2 hours early. So very looking with a lot of anticipation, but all different situations.
Yep. Yeah. And then, sorry, go ahead, Graydon.
Oh, I'm going to start playing some of the clips. We have some clips of the inside of the inn that we can, as the discussion's continuing, we can play those, and I'll just start playing them so people can get a look for how nice the space looks now.
Yeah. Yeah. Laurie, I've been reading some of the stats from In Out of the Cold. Now, of course, that's over a fairly good period of time. But if I remember right, the average guest at the inn in a year's time might spend 2 weeks at the inn. Am I fairly close on that number?
So about half of our guests in a year, or in a month, half of our guests stay less than 2 weeks. So, there's maybe a misconception that everybody comes in and they stay for weeks or months or years. Right. Half of the people, it's a quick pass through and before they go and have found solutions on their own. The other half are there longer, like more than a month or more than the 2 weeks at a time. But those are the people that we're targeting. Those are the people that we're really looking to connect with the case manager. If you've been at our services for more than 2 weeks, then we will now connect with you and put you on our caseload and say, okay, we're going to very intentionally and deliberately meet with you on an ongoing basis until we can overcome some of these challenges together. So yes, it is. That's accurate. I do see there's a question. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say some of the pictures that we're showing as we go by were taken before the opening of the inn, and it's not showing some of the dividers between.
Right. Yes, I was going to point that out. These are the lockers in the men's dorm. There's another picture there where it actually shows the beds. Those dividers here, those dividers were delivered today on moving day. We couldn't pull them out of Central, or the people would not have the dividers. That's right. When we closed this morning, they were loaded up into the moving truck, and they're over there in place now. Between every single bed is a medical grade divider in all the sleeping areas. So this is our wonderful new washrooms on the screen here. 2 beautiful showers. So we went from having one shower at Central for up to 40 people to now having 5 showers. So we are so excited to see the reaction of the guests tonight, though you don't actually have to sign up, put your name on a list to do your showers or your laundry, because we have enough facilities that we should be able to manage everybody.
Well, Laurie, I'm so excited that on opening day, and I really don't want to keep you much longer. I know when your day started this morning, and we're always excited about the first day, or not excited about a move. Those are right. But you've got a lifetime now of setting this in motion and keeping it in motion and getting it so that it is fulfilling the full needs of anyone who is without housing in St. Thomas. So I can't say thank you enough for your work. And I know a lot of the employees of the city of St. Thomas say, aren't we glad we have somebody like this working at the inn, because it helps us direct towards permanent housing.
Thank you. Is it all right if I answer the one question I think I haven't covered in the chat? Someone has just asked about when churches or groups resume, are we able to take leftover food? Right. So we are able to take only food that is in a approved kitchen. So of course, most churches would have a public health approved kitchen. So first of all, that is the first criteria. So many people are generous and they want to bring over a casserole from home. And we wish we could do that, but that's just, we're not allowed to do that under public health guidelines. It has to be in an approved kitchen. And then we have to know very clearly how the food was stored, when it was prepared, and all of those things. So prepackaged food is not a problem. Restaurant food is not a problem. But if it's coming from a church or something like that, we just need to make sure all the protocols will follow. So we'll ask a few questions. Don't be offended by that. We just want to make sure everybody is safe, the food was stored safely, and that we can track it when it comes in the doors. But absolutely, we would not be able to run if it wasn't for people helping us feed our guests with both practical donations of food and then also providing restaurant food at times as well. So, and I know, Mayor, you have absolutely contributed to that with some chili and baked potatoes over COVID. Wendy's has provided some meals to us, and it is a treat. It's a treat for our guests to have restaurant food as well, because they're not in a position that they can go to a restaurant and buy a good meal. So it is everything is appreciated. We just can't say thank you enough to our community.
Well, let's make that an ask. Here tonight, we're also saying, please contribute, please help, right? And in it, whatever way you can. And as you just said, ask. Look, we have this we could donate. Is it possible? No. Yes. Right. Or we have volunteer time. We have people who will come and help. What day do you need us? Let's keep St. Thomas buzzing about the inn and how they can help it, and the different groups that can help it. So
absolutely, it's so tough. We worry so much about offending people, because so many people they're cleaning out their closets or they're moving houses and they want to donate. But a challenge for us is we only have so much room to store things. Also, we only have so many people to give things out to. But also managing donations takes a lot of staff time as well. And we want to be meeting with our guests and not folding blankets, even though, yes, we have to balance that. But there's even challenges that we have single beds and we can't use king and queen and that size bedding when you have a bunk bed that will hit the floor below, right? So and we can't wash it and we can't store it. So there's so many things to consider. So that's why we just always say, please ask, please don't be offended if we have to say, we can't take that right now, or this is what we really need. We're so grateful for everyone. We couldn't do it without the support of our community. Again, I can't say that enough.
Well, and the working together in our community helps with that too, whether it's the Caring Cupboard Food Bank,
absolutely,
and the other food providers that all work together. Who's got extra what? Or and it gets shared with everyone.
And we do that. Yeah, we do that. Karen calls me from the food bank and says, hey, we've got a big, and we don't have any freezer space. Can you use it? Ginny gives us cake. every once in a while.
If she tries to put cake on everybody, okay? That's
Yeah, so we do, and that's the one thing people need to understand too, is if you give to one of us, you're really giving to all of us, because we share the love around town.
Right. Well, and as you said, if someone donated king size sheets that you can't possibly use, I know they're not being discarded, but they're probably ending up over at Bibles for Missions or Goodwill or another community group that can use them, the YWCA or someone else. I know how well that cooperation works in our community. So thank you for doing that. And thank you all. I'm saying it to everyone. Thank you all for being that cooperative. It's a special smiley week this week. Way to go.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Lori, thanks so much for taking the time. I know it's been a busy day. You've just opened up, so really appreciate the fact you made time to chat with us and answer any questions that anyone has about the inn and what services you provide and how things are going to move going forward.
Yeah, please tell everyone to just visit our website in Elgin. .ca. We have our needs list on there. We try to keep it up to date. We have our volunteer application on there. We have our phone numbers. Give us a call, email us, visit the website. We just love interacting with our donors.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Paul Jenkins said on here, your messaging is so good, and it is. All right. Not only do you know what you're doing, but you know how to share it with others. And thank you for making a lot more people a little more comfortable tonight in St. Thomas, and hopefully for many nights to come.
Thank you. And thanks for the opportunity to spread the word.
Well, we'll keep doing it.
You bet.
Anytime. And if we get more questions after you've gone off air today, and we get more questions, we'll get the answer from Lori for you and talk about it on next week's show or in the comment section of this show.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that's exciting. I mean, that's a whole show in itself, but this has been a really busy week. There's lots of other things we probably need to talk about. You mind if the mayor just goes down a bit of a list?
Absolutely. Go for it.
Again, any of you at home have any questions for us? We had another snow event this week, obviously, too. So the snowplows were out. Again, almost 100% way to go. Good job. Those types of things. Hey, we'll occasionally miss a street. Let us know if that happens. The Snow Angels program is still out there, and the phone number for that, 519-631-1680. That's the city. And Heather's extension is 4196, and she'll sign you up. We had a couple people looking for Snow Angels this week, too, so it's still out there. We a couple of our trails weren't shoveled, and that also happens when some of our trails cross private property, and we're still working out making sure we can get to them. Those that are on our property from a recreational point of view, our Parks and Rec team shovel them, or if they're city property, then they get done. Bell, Let's Talk Day. What a great day to open the inn, is to also do it on Bell Let's Talk Day. And thank you all for participating in getting Bell to donate money for everything that we did today. What else is on here from last week? Oh, fishing on Lake Margaret. Was reminded, we've been doing some posting, that there is no fishing on Lake Margaret from November 30th till the 4th Saturday in June. That's bass season. That's the exclusion of bass season. And since bass are the most prominent fish in the lake, there should be no fishing at all between November 30th and the 4th Saturday in June, and it is posted. Another thing to share what we've been doing this week was ROMA. That's the Rural Ontario Municipalities Association. And starting on Sunday afternoon, I was at a roundtable with the Premier and the Minister of Municipal Affairs and a number of and 100 or more rural communities, talking about housing affordability, the roundtable on housing and housing affordability. And we're able to share some of what we've done, but also listen to what other people are doing and ideas that we could use. Then the next 2 days at Roma, I met with the Minister of Health and the Associate Minister of Health, both on mental health and addictions and on other areas that the municipalities seem to be picking up from a health point of view. So Minister Elliott and Minister Tabula were very good. And we certainly have spoken to them before and had a nice meeting also with Minister McNaughton, who's our member of provincial parliament from the riding next door, but also the Minister of Labor. And we were talking about some WSIB issues and some other labor issues. For those of you that would like, Jeff Neffen, he is the CEO of Indwell, and a very knowledgeable guy, and he's really been helpful to our community on the housing front. But he's on TVO tonight, I think, at 9 o'clock. So if you wanted to tune in and see what Indwell does for a living, besides all the great things they've done about St. Thomas, that's tonight at 9 o'clock. So I wanted to make sure I shared that with you. But another group that does a great deal of housing in our community, very helpful, is the Youth Unlimited. And they tend to do youth homelessness or youth housing, and it's by emergency only. It's not open all the time, but if someone is homeless that night, they put a volunteer in place and make it work. But they're having this fantastic fundraiser for Valentine's Day. You have to pick up your cupcakes. It's a cupcake sale, and you can buy half a dozen or a dozen cupcakes. And if you go on the Facebook page for Youth Unlimited here in St. Thomas Elgin, and there's a great program on how to buy some cupcakes for everybody you love, or even just yourself, and it's a great fundraiser for them. And I think I got through my whole list, Graydon.
That's awesome. That was fantastic. That was like bam, bam, bam. I love it.
Yeah, here's all the stuff we did. And there wasn't a council this week. Normally we have council stuff we have to share too. So it's a good thing there wasn't a council this week, because we were able to get all of this done. We also, one last piece of news, Graydon and I attended the DDB annual general meeting this morning, and I was exceptionally pleased to see the number of downtown businesses there today. And participating and talking about how to make our downtown a better, more active, festive kind of place, and how could they help. A lot of new faces that I had not seen before. So I was very pleased. Look, I'll always congratulate Earl Taylor. He's the Downtown Development Chair, and he is exceptional.
He is a powerhouse.
He do everything in downtown. And you know, we often say, okay, well, who's going to take this?
But it's
we
already
all
done.
pause for 30 seconds. Yeah, we pause for 30 seconds because Earl will take it. So I agree. And Paul Jenkins is saying in the comments, go Earl, because he knows him too. And he knows what a driving force he is for the downtown of St. Thomas. Volunteers run this city. The rest of it just kind of get in there and muck it up. And Earl and his team are incredible. So,
yeah. And what people don't know is that we are one of the most affordable DDBs in Ontario. And if Earl wasn't doing everything that he did, tack another $100,000 onto what businesses had to pay, probably to get the same amount of services.
Easily. Yes. For those that don't know, the DDB is funded by the businesses that are inside the DDB area paying a higher tax. They put it on themselves. They say, we would like to be a business improvement area, and we'd like to pay this percentage in tax into that fund. And so the downtown merchants in St. Thomas fund themselves to about, I think it's about $160,000 in an annual piece. I think it's close to that. In extra taxation, so that they can work together. And it really, like everything else, if you work together with a group, whether it's on advertising, promotions, or beautification, that's what the BIAs do, you get so much more bang for your buck when you all work together. So it's a great piece, and we're happy to be part of it as two members of the DDB and to contribute to them. Some of the great events we had last year, like Nostalgia Nights.
Yeah.
6,000 people on the streets of St. Thomas, or 6,000 cars on the street. All right. Well, so great job. I don't know. I'm making up numbers now, so just go with it.
I think it was around 2,000 cars. 2,000 cars.
Some of them came 3 times. No.
Yeah. I wish it was 6. Maybe next year. Maybe next year we'll get. Well, I remember though Rob Burns, who was managing most of the cars along with his family and other volunteers, they were just like, they were looking for places to put cars.
No, where else can we put a car? Where else can we put a car?
Out on Center Street and like down the side alleys, and it was incredible. It was just a fantastic event, and the number of people out was also incredible. It was just so good to see, especially, with 2 years of COVID under our belts at that time.
Yeah. Well, St. Thomas has been growing at a rapid rate. There's a large number of people who currently live in our city, but have never been downtown. Because they come here and they go to work in the morning and somehow shopping to them was down the Wellington Road at London. And now we're trying to convince people what a great find it is to find downtown St. Thomas. And for us as a city to continue to try and improve issues like homelessness and addictions, but we will continue to do that too.
Absolutely. And just to see like what's happening in the city, like going from when you started as mayor with, very little support, it seemed at the time, to what we have now is absolutely incredible. To have like a 24-hour shelter. So people aren't, like Laurie was saying, going from like then out of the cold over on Wellington over to the Grace Cafe and then to the day shelter and kind of doing that circle. Now there's one place, there's lockers. So if they have possessions, they can put their lockers in, they can lock.
They're not having to carry everything around all the time. And one of the biggest troubles with people who are homeless is, and we hear it a lot, well, there's just, I'm seeing scattered clothing and stuff. Well, it's cold. I picked up a sweatshirt, I wore it, but I can't carry it around all day. And so by having lockers where some of that stuff can happen. But yeah, great, you reminded me, we, not a little more than 2 years ago, it wasn't a year-round shelter. The shelter closed from April to November. It wasn't there. People had no choice, if you were homeless, of where to go. And so by creating a year-round shelter and now a 24-hour day, 7-day-a-week shelter, rest spot, plus all of the community support that they can get in a shelter, this is a huge improvement. So thank you again to Laurie and her team. It's Wednesday. What a great week this has been so far.
So good. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and there's more stuff coming up. And did you get your agenda on what's on council for next week?
No, there isn't a meeting next week.
There's no meeting.
Well, it's the first, second, and third Mondays of the month. And since Monday falls on the 31st of January next week, there's not a meeting. Right. So that's not the thing. We're not at City Hall every day doing other things, but there will not be a council. There's not a council meeting to report. So next week, maybe we can get caught up on some more of this kind of loose stuff that's happening in our community that we need to talk about.
Ice rink. Is the ice rink built yet?
Yes. That's a great question. I did not drive by there today, but I know it was going as fast as it could. So, where can the mayor go look next? Yeah,
I know. The good questions about the ice rink. Is it ready yet? I was like, I don't know. I'm not really leaving my house most of the time now.
Well, I spend a lot of time in the Zoom room at my house and the Zoom room at City Hall. And the driving around part isn't as much as it used to be. I walked a bit of downtown yesterday because I went over to the shelter to do the ribbon cutting and some other stuff I was doing. And I went, geez, I haven't been doing much of this. We've all been hunkered down in our little places. So I'd love for spring to advance itself and make it so that we can get out more and see some things we haven't seen for a while, but pretty exciting out there.
Absolutely. And if you see my setup's a little bit different today, it's because I'm actually on my treadmill. So I can like be on my computer and walk and get a little exercise because I just haven't been.
Are you powering this by your treadmill? Is this like the hamster wheel? Is it?
No, I'm paying to have it powered, which I've always thought is a bit ridiculous. Like they should have a treadmill that's like creating.
I can run my computer. Yeah.
My father has one. It's the horses. They actually go on the treadmill and they.
Oh, that's true.
Power.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's it's much more efficient, but they haven't developed that yet, I guess. So.
Yeah, or nobody's telling us about it. Yeah, it's so it's.
Yeah. No, if I could power all my devices off of running, I'd be much fitter.
Oh yeah. And who are you looking at? No, absolutely right. I if I could just power it off my brain power, it's been fun doing this, but it's been a long road to the end, and so I was glad we were able to have Laurie on tonight and talk about it. So we've got to be able to continue telling people that Mayor's Updates, a forum, a question question and answer session. I continue to visit some of the wild social media places on Facebook. Name any site that has the word St. Thomas in it, because I want to hear what people are saying. And I keep reminding people when I answer questions on social media, you can get this answered live. Come on Wednesday at 7:30, every Wednesday at 7:30 on Established Media. Mayor's Updates there. Ask whatever question you want.
We have a
And
forum.
We'll answer everyone we can. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. I have a lot of people that come in and they ask me questions to ask. And I'm like, hey, you know what? Come in and ask it yourself. Like, be a part of the conversation.
Right.
You know?
If
And that's
if,
what
if
I'm-
you
that's
have
what
that
this is
question,
great for.
100 other people do. So please, right?
Mhm. And if you're asking that question, or you've got a basis for it and all this other stuff, you're much more able to kind of carry on that conversation with yourself or whoever else we have on at the time.
Yeah. I was there. I
You know,
heard
that-
the mayor say this, right?
Yeah.
You're the smart guy in the room because you've heard what we're saying or what we're doing or what
Yep.
the city's working on next. So please watch and ask us questions, because it's the best way to learn what your city's looking at.
Absolutely. Well, Mayor Joe, thanks again for your time every week putting this together.
Happy to do it. It's the best way to reach out is to be honest and have a little fun and let people ask us questions about what's happening in St. Thomas. And
Absolutely.
I didn't say St. Thomas happenings. I said what's happening in St. Thomas.
Duly noted.
Yeah.
And thanks again to all of our viewers. We had a lot of viewers on today, which I really appreciate, because, you know, obviously this is something we want to talk about. We want to get the word out to more people that the inn is open. This is a place. It's 24 hours. People can go there now and get the support that they need, whether it's, you know, mental health or addiction or food or just a place to hang out.
Yeah.
And we have that in St. Thomas, and that's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
So thanks again to all our sponsors as well. And Mayor
Yes.
Joe, we'll catch you next week, and we're going to
See you
play our
next
outro
week.
out there.
Yeah.
Cheers.
All right. See ya.